essentially, we want to start with India A and the squads being announced. Now, if you guys don't know what that squad looks like, do not worry, because in the next 5-10 minutes, we'll just preview that for you all in terms of what's going to happen, when are they going to leave, so on and so forth. But first, the names on your screen: Abhimanyu Easwaran, who's not played the IPL as yet, and it's good to see that the Ranji lad is captaining this particular team. Not many people agreeing maybe with the vice captaincy selection, but Dhruv Jurel gets the nod for that. There are other interesting names. Karun Nair being brought back into the fold after I think he got some county games not too long ago. NKR keeps his place. Shardul keeps his place in terms of the all-rounders in the side. And more names just to break down with you all in the next couple of minutes. Nix, I'll come to you here. What are the most interesting names? And we'll let the graphic remain on the screen, because let people soak in what this squad can do and maybe how many can enter the India squad for that 5-match series. Start with the names which interest you and excite you, Nikhil.
Yeah, two names quite stand out for me. First is Sarfaraz. Well done to him. I think he's also done what he feels is important for him and his career in the Test cricket side. So I'm very keen to see how he goes about his business, batting at 5 or 6 wherever he does. And bowling we've lacked discipline in Australia. So that's where I really feel that it's very interesting to see Anshul Kamboj get in again. He's been in a red hot form in red ball cricket, had a great Dulip Trophy as well. So if he starts, I'm very interested to see how he goes about his business, because we don't know the type of surfaces we'll get, but control is something that's a non-negotiable for a test match bowler. So I think those are the two names that I hope get a good run, and then we see how they are going to shape up if at all they make it to the senior side.
Akshay, what about you? Because obviously Ashwin, Rohit, Virat, the evident names calling it a time in Test cricket. So those are three vacancies. Are there any good potential that you see in these names that could probably fill in that Test team and maybe more?
Into the Test side, slightly difficult, but happy to see some of the pacers picked. Anshul Kamboj and Khalil Ahmed both. I wouldn't mind seeing Khalil Ahmed also being picked for the main squad should he do decently well in the A tour. We would love to have a left arm seamer who can swing the ball, importantly, both ways. Arshdeep Singh has been the talk of the town when it comes to that. Ki bhai, usko debut de dete hai. I hope Khalil Ahmed is also being spoken about in the same vein. Harshit Rana, Akashdeep, Mukesh Kumar, all three usual suspects expectedly. Tushar Deshpande is an interesting shout. Shardul Thakur is another player that I'll be looking forward to, even more so than Nitish Kumar Reddy, because in all fairness, I think Shardul Thakur will be the player that I would want in my 11. Now, I mean, a fully firing Shardul Thakur would add a lot more value to the Indian side than a fully firing Nitish Kumar Reddy. That's how I look at it. I think we are in need of a bowling all-rounder who can add more, who can sort of shoulder the responsibility of Jasprit Bumrah, Siraj, and in all likelihood, Prasidh Krishna, or whoever it is, the third pacer that is. So,
yeah, that squad is interesting, because now that I look at it, it could be two ex-CSK and two current CSK to be the pace battery for the England Lions tour. Because if you actually look at it, Anshul Kamboj, who plays for CSK, there's Tushar Pandey, who played for CSK, there's Khalil with Nick's just talking about, and not to forget Shardul Thakur also adding pace over there. Now, this tour is very important because a lot of people might still be, of course, staying on with the main team because it's a 5-match Test series. I think Gambhir and his team is going to be leaving on the 4th of June or the 6th of June, if I'm not wrong, intentionally, because the 20th of June is when the games start. But the India A games are 30th of June to June 2nd. The first one's in Canterbury. Again, testing conditions there. Pleasant at this time of year, but still will be, of course, a good test for all these young boys. And then the second game is in Northampton, and that's the 6th of June to 9th of June. Maybe there will be more players in that game, and we could see Gambhir himself part of that. And then there's, of course, another tour match in Beckenham, where India themselves will get a little sniff in terms of all the main players, your Bumrahs, your Jadejas, just to get some more miles in the legs, I'm guessing. So that's how it stacks up, essentially. Now, the last question that we just want to ask to finish up this chat is this India A squad indicative of India's new Test team? I know there's no Pant, Bumrah, Jadeja, but forget all the big boys. There's also no Shreyas Iyer. So does this mean in a way that people are already kind of saying, the ship has sailed? on Shreyas Iyer, the test match player? Akshay, I'll come with you here first.
I wouldn't go as far as to say that the ship has sailed for him, but right now I'm guessing that the think tank is looking at other players over him. Understandably so, because they might feel that Karun Nair, for instance, is in red dot form. Dhruv Jurel is someone who's been a part of the setup in the recent past. Same is the case with Sarfraz Khan too. So I can see where they're coming from. They're probably trying to first give a long enough rope to the players already in the setup before bringing in newer players. I would imagine the only bone of contention, like Shreyas Iyer, at best could have taken Karun Nair's position. I don't see any other player whom he could have replaced. But you can also see why Karun Nair also deserved a spot there. So if I was Shreyas Iyer, I would still feel hard done by. But if I were Siyachit Agarkar, I would stand by my decision. I could see where they're coming from. So it's a fair call right now. I hope in the future, if and when a spot or a vacancy does arise, not necessarily in the 11, even in the squad, Shreyas Iyer does come back in, because I think he is a good enough India player. And importantly, when they play at home, I'm guessing that also might have played a role over here. The fact that they're playing away, they're playing in England, seamer friendly, swing friendly conditions. So maybe that might have tilted the case in Karun Nair's favor. He's played for the Northants last year, had a more than decent outing for them. So he's got some experience. He knows how to go about his business there. Maybe that worked in his favor. With Shreyas Iyer comes the home season later on this year. We very well might see him being picked again.
Yeah, I mean, we were calling it during the watch along in terms of vaguely what our test team would be. I mean, I said left field selection. I like Karun Nair. Apart from my Karnataka bias, I think because, like you just mentioned, he's gone account, he's done it there instead of throwing a newbie into the scheme of things. Again, when you go back to those names, you don't think of a few names who were part of the last test squad. Remember, your likes of Sarfraz Khan, whether he gets a gig, Nicks. I mean, just to answer that question that we put out, what is your take? Is it indicative of India's new test team? I know there's no KL, Jadeja, Bumrah, all the names I mentioned, but any of these few new guys who can actually knock on the door and be like, we're here to stay for the long run?
Yeah, I'll hope that is the case at least for Sarfaraz, because again, I would like some continuity, and I do not for once like people being rubbed off even before they are given a chance. They are given a chance ke, ye to ye nahi hi chalega. That is a line of thinking that I don't like to think for test players, at least, let alone wide ball format, because there you still feel the requirement is very niche. Test cricket is a different requirement, but you have to give people chance to fail also. So uh, I want to see that aspect also taken care of. Now, at this point of time, we still don't know how many of them will actually start. So maybe once they play is when we will be in a better position to say whether this is an indication of what's to follow. Because we saw in Australia, they wanted to play a lot of all-rounders. Now, if you want to do that, great, but then they have to bowl. So Nitish is bowling right now, last over of an IPL game. But if he can bowl in England, then that is what matters far more.
What about your boy Rituraj Gaikwad? Because he's in the 11, I mean, in the squad, but because Easwaran is a right-hand opener, do you think he'll keep him out?
At this point of time, I have no clue because Rutraj has been part of India setups, but wasn't there in Australia. I mean, I can't recall why, what happened there. But if he starts and Eastland doesn't, then there's a debate that what is the pecking order? How are you deciding that pecking order? Or Gaikwad is someone who's going to bat lower down the order. That is something that I'm not ruling out. Maybe 4 or 5, who knows? So again, we'll have to wait for that game to begin. There's Dhruv Jurel as well, and we've been asking him to bat higher up the order, but kidhar? So that is again, it's a very interesting lineup. No matter who plays, we'll always have some complaints. That is always going to be there.